All right, guys, this is it. We are in the final stage of the competition, the in-engine round. Welcome to the next great Starship. Hi guys, I'm Sandy Gardner. I'm here with our 5 judges, Mark Skelton.
Mark Goldmember, the Austin art director, apparently.
Chris Roberts, project director, Star Citizen.
Chris Livia, chief visual officer, Cloud Imperium Games.
Chris Smith.
Chris Smith, lead vehicle modeler, Austin, Texas.
And Sean Tracy.
U.S. Engine Business Development Manager, CryEngine Evangelist with Crytek.
All right, so Sean Tracy, you're up today because this is our in-engine round.
I know, I'm ready.
With our final teams, we're going to see 3 today, but only 1 can go through. You guys ready to see these videos?
It's going to be hard.
Yeah, it's gonna
I'm
be-
looking
it was
forward
tough.
to it.
The last
I'm
couple
looking forward.
episodes were tough, and this is even going to be tougher. So,
There's no save in this round.
There isn't?
No.
So somebody's getting axed?
Yes.
Oh, this is it.
Two are going to get axed. So
Yeah.
only 1 team can go through, and there's no save.
How depressing.
We may have to oil wrestle this out.
Just you and Olivia.
Me and Olivia?
yeah,
All right.
Yeah.
naked.
Oh, no, I don't
Maybe the
think I
late
want
night
to be...
YouTube channel.
Can I wear my shirt, though, and nothing else? That
No.
would work, right?
Yeah, the shirt has to stay on. Right?
Of course.
I think he'd would.
I don't know
he
if
would
you
want
want
that.
to.
Ancient Greek style. They just had a piece of string.
Just, oh no, that's the
Okay.
worst mental image ever.
Thank you. So choose
Wow,
your
visual.
team wisely, because we don't want any oil wrestling.
No, we
Wisely.
don't want any.
Or do we?
Mark does. Mark does.
So before we get to the videos, Sean, as the expert, do you want to explain the in-engine part of this competition and how it works?
Yeah, absolutely.
Here it comes.
So basically, as they get their models into engine, they've been working outside of the technology that the ships will actually be in, be flying around. Obviously, they need to. There's a certain amount of work they have to do outside the engine before they get it in. But this obviously is the most important part because this is where the players are going to see the ships. So in the end, it's all the work has to come together and to be able to plug in to look great in the actual game itself rather than just outside or in a V-Ray render or something like this.
So I remember a long time ago you were saying it takes about 5 minutes to get the ship in engine.
It really depends on the ship, and it depends how well it's set up. But I'm sure none of these ships took 5 minutes to get in the engine, right? Because they would have taken their time putting the nice materials on it, and that's what we're looking for today. Is good material work in the engine, good implementation of animations and things like this. Because there is a technical challenge there. There's a little bit of a learning curve depending on what technology you use. So yeah.
What are some of the common problems getting a ship in engine?
Usually, some of the things that people run into is just when they start doing the exporting, you'll get a whole list of errors depending on how you've set up your ship. And if you've never exported a model into the engine before, you won't really know what the errors are necessarily telling you what's wrong. Something like a degenerate face. What's a degenerate face? I'm not sure how to fix that. Or it's things like that they're going to need to figure out. So there is a certain amount of, again, learning curve.
What
to
is
get
a
this stuff
degenerate
together.
face?
Well, the degenerate phase is pretty easy. It's just when 2 vertices are on the exact same position. So you end up with an edge. You end up with 2 edges that are right on top of each other, and it's actually super inefficient. So the engine just says, no, you got degenerate faces, and it helps you. There's some scripts to find those and things like that. But yeah, that comes with experience. So they're probably going through all these errors manually. So it probably took a little more than 5 minutes. But yeah.
Gosh, he's smart, isn't he?
We have some tricks for that degenerate face thing.
I do. Or
No,
do
we
you have
do.
some fix?
Well, yeah, we converted to mesh and then do like a vertice weld and everything. And
Oh,
that
really?
fixes it.
That's a lot of work, though.
No, not really.
There's a little
What's your
script.
dumb engine?
There's a little script in there. under the
You
Cry
did it.
Tools thing. Under the Cry Tools thing, there's a mark degenerate faces or copy
No,
mesh
yeah, it
without
just
degenerate
highlights them.
faces. Yeah, but there's one that like copies it over
Whoa.
and has none of them.
So you're basically saying that if your dimensions are off, then
That's
the
right.
engine basically says, okay, this doesn't work.
And if your sort of technical setup of the topology and the model itself is not clean, as we would say, yeah, it's gonna be a little more difficult.
And there's also some limits, right? So
Absolutely.
depends on, I think, the newer version of the engine lets you have more vertices and faces, but The one that pretty much everyone's been using has a limit where I think in any one individual sub-object you can't have more than 64,000 vertices, 65,000.
So
So
are
I'm
they
going to
all
have some
using-
fun with some jargon now.
Which is
So
pain in
yeah,
the butt.
32-bit floating point versus the 16 floating point, which is what Chris is talking about there. It's a polygon phase count that you can actually have. So 64,000 triangles is generally what their exporter will support. But for these guys, they actually have made some changes to the exporter so that they can do a lot more.
I got that.
And the new
Thank
engine.
God we did.
Yeah, and the new
That was a
engine.
big
So the new
Exactly.
engine.
But it was mostly you guys actually, because that was who needed it the most.
Yeah,
actually,
because
by
I
far.
mean our ships are huge, and
Yep.
we ended up having to cut them in pieces and then pulling
To get
them
them exported.
separately.
Are these guys using all the same engine build? Or
They're using the free SDK at the
Exactly.
moment, but for the final, we will probably give them our special build so they can use PBR, because
Right.
none of the ships right now have got PBR,
Right,
and
right.
PBR is going to be the next little level.
Yep.
So that'll be sort of the final.
so it'll be a new learning experience, like
Yeah, so I think we'll mentor them for the PBR, and the public free PBR version of CryEngine probably won't make it just in time for them.
Probably not. That's
So-
what
What's
I'm thinking,
PBR
so.
again?
Oh, I could wait, but I don't know. Should we go there? No, we probably should avoid it.
Right.
I don't want to hurt your brain.
It's a
I
beer.
know. You don't
Let's
want
just
to
keep
explode in my head.
Okay, so having said all that, are we ready to see the videos?
Super
do it.
Yeah,
Totally,
let's do
yeah.
it.
Let's
I know.
roll the video of Shimapan.
Hey, it's from Team Shimapan here, and you can't tell that I am lifting, but yeah, I'm here to talk about the final presentation for our gunship. So, it's been a crazy week, and we basically pushed it as far as we could in this amount of time, so hopefully that you'll be able to enjoy that. We'll also update the design at some point, and I'm not sure what the last design that you guys saw was like, but this one's different. So, yeah, there's that, and there's also the orange greebly crazy cockpit that we decided to show you guys here, and we really tried to push the cockpit and all the other parts that are going to be next to, and the sensor module in the front, and the landing area, etc, etc. So yeah, so I really hope you like it. I sure as hell had a lot of fun making this, but yeah, I mean, we're not completely happy with it, so at some point we'd like to polish it regardless of what happens in the competition. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. Bye.
All right, all right.
It's an engine, right?
Yeah, that's all in engine. Good lighting. They set up the lights really nicely. Looked like they needed to fix some of the time of day things. I saw that the cascaded shadow maps were all messed up. There was a big black square at one point. It was a little bit strange. The ship looks awesome. It looks great in engine, like I was saying. But again, it doesn't quite look metallic yet. It's really still very flat. So I would want to see a little more work on the materials, but it's a drastic improvement over the initial pass of the materials that we saw last week, I believe.
Chris Smith.
Yeah, I was actually pretty happy with the ship. I think it looks pretty good overall. Like Sean said, I think the materials need some work. The texture, the paneling texture, it had some wear and tear, but it kind of looked it wasn't that great yet. It just needs some more work. But I think overall the ship looked cool. It had some cool animations. The thrust area looked really good. The glow was awesome.
I'm glad they took out the heat panels. That helped a lot. 'Cause
Yeah.
Before those heat panels they look like brick texture.
Oh,
So
yeah.
All that stuff is gone now, and they redid that, and that's good because it makes it a world of
The
difference.
interior looked cool too. I mean, overall, it's a pretty nice ship. I like it. It's could use some more polish, but he did mention they're not quite there yet either. So, but yeah, it's very nice.
Mr. Olivia.
God, this is hard. It's beautiful. I like it. I don't know what else to say. I wish they brought those heat panels back, though. I don't know.
What? Wow.
Get out of
Brick.
here.
Something about the brick. No. It's a beautiful. They presented it very well. The breakup of all the details was very nice. The lighting was nice. It's a very nicely designed ship that's translating into the engine, I think, really well. I think I kind of agree with Chris a little bit that it just needs more love on some of the textures and stuff. But it's a very, very cool ship.
Yeah, no, I really liked it. I mean, so I thought for being in engine, it was really good. I mean, you know, the standard I think we've got now is like pretty much all the people left in the competition could be completely working on our art team building ships for the game. So there was a level of sort of modeling detail that I really sort of appreciated. The mechanism for the landing gear, like inside the front cockpit. So that was actually kind of one of the better cockpits I've, of the ones we'll see. That was one of the better cockpits. Yeah, just the
cool
details of how it slides in, and there's the extra level of geometry. And I thought that was all kind of textured pretty well. I mean, the ship's a bit of an ugly duckling, but that's always been the case with the ship. So I always find the back of it a bit weird. And then, obviously it's not,
Yeah, with
doesn't
those
have
legs, the landing gear legs look a little odd.
Yeah,
like
just sort of, it's like, I don't know.
The reverse knee.
And then it almost feels like they didn't quite get to finish off how they wanted their video to be, because we don't have any guns on the turret on the top. And so it sort of feels like that if they had, I know we're in a competition, so everyone's on a limited amount of time, but if they had another 3-4 days to work on this and really put some glory shots, and they could have showed it off well. But generally,
They don't have to sleep. I mean,
I could be incorrect, but I think pretty much
A lot
most
of them
of the
did
people
not.
here were pulling like, full all-nighters up for 2 days straight to try and get these things in. Because I mean, like, if you think about what all these teams have done, and you think about our workflow, they've done a huge amount of stuff in a relatively short amount of time, given because a lot of these people don't have, they've got other jobs, or the Shimapan team, I think, are all going to school, they've got studies. So for us on our bigger ships, I mean, we have, unless it's Chris Smith who just does it all, we have teams like when CG Bot's working on one of the ships, they've got 3-4 people working on a ship. And it still takes time, so it's pretty impressive. I mean, that level of work's very impressive, and they graduate, and we'd be happy to have them. So yes, it was really nice.
you mentioned the cockpit, and it's very nice, but I think it'd be good for them to put a little bit of more love into the lighting in the cockpit. It just seemed like there was just like an orange light just sort of like fill in that area. Could get some more specialized lights in there to make it look cool.
Yeah, some of the glow lights on the engines too, those could have been opened up a little bit. They were super spotlighty, when...
Well, it could have
they
been the
had
particle effect, for
turn.
instance, would have probably
Yeah,
been
that
good
could have
there
been,
and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The texture work is good. The materials need work. Obviously, they need some breakup. I think when they get that PBR build, they'll probably have fun with that, and seeing where they can push it. My critique of the interior. So what I would usually tell an artist at this point, and I deal with the environment artists too, and some of the planet side stuff, is what you want to do at this point, which they've got a good direction going. But they've got about I think Chris and I were talking about this earlier, they've got like a first and second read, and that's like the detail level of the interior. They need to get it up to a third, fourth tier read, which is more like groups of detail, that brings your eye to it, and then you have like less detail in between, because you don't want solid detail everywhere because of the frequency issue. But so in doing that, also bringing in the lights and decals, and what you want to do is think like an engineer at this point. So you're putting together the interior of a ship, and you want to have the
Function
safety of the
to drive the
crew
design.
like the first thing, right? If you're an engineer, you want to make sure that everything is lit, your pathways, your decals on the floor is showing you like, okay, this is a safe area, please stay out of this area, be careful here, here's your latches, and then have lighting maybe on the floor or illuminate certain objects that you interact with. And I think if they keep that in mind going forward, I think the interior is going to come together really nicely. And I think that's what the next level for them would be. But, I understand, it looks great so far, and it's just, if they, when they have a little more time, that's like the next step.
Plus on the cockpit, we have our HUD design system, I might have to finagle that a little bit, on their existing stuff, but, that might change it up a little bit too. But yeah, you always want function to drive design. Right?
Absolutely.
So
yeah, think like an engineer.
that way it'll come off as realistic.
Right. But man, this ship is so close. I mean, it wouldn't take much to get into our game. A few loves
it's very
here
nice.
and there. It's cool. I love it.
All right, so let's check out Four Horsemen.
The
Aegis Dynamics Redeemer gunship prototype has been improved since our initial unveiling. The cockpit has been redesigned with heavier armor, while minimizing visibility loss. The main hold has also been outfitted with additional protective plating. The main point of crew entry and egress is through the ship's rear access ramp. For docking and marine forced breaching, a boarding hatch is available as well. The Redeemer is an offensive weapon, designed and built for the purpose of putting ordnance on target and boots on the deck. By utilizing the ship's shape, turrets are positioned in a manner that allows gunners a wide area of converging forward fire, without sacrificing rearward coverage. A pilot utilizing the ship's stability and advanced control can easily bring down the largest of foes with a debilitating strike run. Through teamwork and focused damage, this gunship is in a league all of its own. Pilots of this gunship are afforded ample protection while retaining a wide view, ensuring a high level of situational awareness during combat. State-of-the-art control interfaces keep all ship functions within a moment's reach. The Redeemer's vector lock engines enable an unprecedented level of mass manipulation by moving the engine thrusters to optimal locations away from the ship's center of gravity, increasing overall stability, as well as combat maneuvers available to the pilot. Unlike multi-thruster casings or engines located within the hull, a nacelle-based system utilizes the exposed surface area to draw heat away from vital parts and into the environment, thus minimizing wear and increasing engine performance. The Redeemer comes outfitted with an onboard heavy-duty crane. Embedded in the tail, it is capable of lifting up to 20 tons. At 37 meters long, 19 meters wide, and 10 meters tall, the Redeemer is a robust combat package built on a versatile chassis. Mil-spec parameters were met without excess, keeping the overall signature to an absolute minimum. It has been said that innovation is not the result of chance, it is the result of action. We here at Aegis Dynamics Four Horsemen Division take this to heart. When presented with the chance to design our military's next frontline ship, it was seen as an opportunity to advance beyond the status quo, to offer our skills and services for the betterment of mankind, and to deliver a combat-ready gunship that strikes fear and admiration into the enemy. This concludes our Aegis Dynamics Redeemer class update. And remember, become a horseman today.
Chris, are you going
No.
out? Yeah, you're going,
He's
you're
already
going out buying a
signed.
Redeemer.
Tell us what you think.
What?
Are you going to buy a Redeemer?
Yes. Yes. So you're asking my opinion now?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, it's, man, they just keep getting better and better. It's a beautiful ship. I think my only critique is that, and this is on a lot of the ships, is some of the paneling just seems a little tacked on and random and not sort of like thought about with the shape of the, or the form of the object that it's on, and it just seems sort of like slapped on in areas. But the interior was beautiful. I like the way as you go in from room to room, it's got a little bit of different feel, you know, depending on what the type of, the function of the room is. It had a really nice metallic look, more so than some of them. Design was beautiful. It's a really cool looking ship. I'm going to say that for everything now. It's just everything's so good. But yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Chris.
He snorted.
He snorted. It was a skeleton.
I mean, I hate
snort.
it. There.
It sounded so sincere. One of my favorites.
Yeah, great ship. I mean, for sure, one of the best so far. The texturing is the best so far I've seen on that ship, actually. I kind of disagree with the paneling on that one in particular. I mean, I agree. I know what you're saying. Like some people don't use the tiling right. You know, they just kind of have the panels.
Yeah, but on that one, I didn't feel that.
On that one, I didn't feel that.
The exterior, the paneling.
Yeah,
I mean,
I thought everything made sense. The specular was great. I mean, I think it would look awesome in PBR. I think the different paint jobs were cool. Perhaps Blue Ribbon. beer.
Don't ask
Cheap beer.
Sean.
But no, I mean, yeah, the interiors are great. The animations, I mean, they really pull it together, and the presentation was awesome. You know, the whole render with the see-through, and you can see the
X-ray
interior
render
was awesome.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
As far as critique, I don't know. There's not a whole lot.
You got to pick something. I did.
I mean, to really critique it, I'd have to like go into the file and like look at it
Look
and
for
see,
degenerate
and then,
faces.
like implementation and all that. That might be like things that we're run into some issues maybe here and there. But like look-wise, texture-wise, great.
Sean.
Yeah, agree with everything that they've been saying so far. I really kind of like the pen. I think it went to sort of Mark's point about the multiple reads, and that's a really good point. Like, I mean, you got the first pass, second pass, and then you start really, your eyes bouncing around. So I think that actually helped it. I didn't think it was too random or anything. There's a lot really good about this ship. One, the design overall. Like, I mean, it's got this crane. It's got a really interesting way of mounting their players into the turrets.
Yeah,
I think that's super interesting. I mean, it's a AAA game asset already. I said it last time too. Seeing something like that in Crisis 3 or any of these, AAA games, easy to see already. Like you said, the texture work is phenomenal. The material work is also very good, and it's not just one level of gloss across everything. It's they've really thought about each material in there, and they've got a good variation to it. The animations are super cool. I mean, they've done a lot of really interesting outside the box sort of things, like putting a glow behind a bunch of animated objects, so when they open up, you see the glow. When that closes up, you don't see it at all. Simple things like this, but that's somebody taking their time, really having a good think about what they're doing. So it's super impressive. So
Skelton.
Yeah, man, it's blown me away. It's like the most complete ship that I've seen of the competition so far as top to bottom. Again, like what you're saying about the reads, I mean, they're using like decals and stuff correctly, where you look at it and you're like, oh yeah, well that ship is pretty big, this ship is huge, because you can tell by the way that they're using their detail, or their small details, that you get a sense of what human scale would be, even without having a human in there. And that's hard to do, and that's the sign of a pro. So their interior stuff, the lighting, the materials, the way they broke up, it's amazing. You could drop it in pretty much and roll with it now. It's great. I love the little like on the engine things with the little flanges that were out. Dude, that was pretty cool. Really like that. It was a nice.
Didn't you like the inline skates too?
Yeah, right. The landing gear.
Yeah, the inline skates. That was different. I mean, it's interesting.
Nah, that's cool.
I thought it was
I mean,
cool.
if anything, that might be like a style thing, like critique from my point. Like,
Yeah.
it looks a little funny when it's landed with the extra little, like, wheels on the side that kind of support it. Maybe they could have used, like, struts or... But that would be my only...
I thought it was nice.
I think wheels work well with it.
It was cool. It was different.
Yeah,
Never
that
seen
was
that
just
before.
like a personal nitpick.
Yeah.
But
It's hard to
the
like
ship's
grab
great. Yeah, you
onto
can't
something
really-
about this ship
Oh,
because
yeah.
everything is so
Something really
good. It's like
Coffee pot.
coffee
Yeah,
pot.
coffee pot. I
Dude,
mean,
that was sweet.
sold, right?
I know that makes Chris happy with the coffee pot. He's always we gotta have coffee. Space.
Hey, you just want little things that humanize it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To
You get up out of your-
when you go inside it, makes you feel like you could spend time in it. That's, I think, a key, because if you're part of the game, the idea of the game is you're flying between planets and venturing out in space, and so you sort of that's, I think, one of the things that has made Star Citizen resonate with a lot of people, is that when you look at the ships, it's not, in the past, a wing commander ship, privateer ship, or in other space games, it's pretty much just in the cockpit looking out, and there's no sense of your ship and living in it or going around. And so that was one of the things I think people really responded to, is when we built the ships, things like the Constellation, you could go and you could see, oh yeah, here's where I'd have
living quarters,
here's where I'd eat, here's where I'd sleep, all that kind of stuff. And so all those little bits humanize it. But they were saved by the community, which was great. I mean, I voted for them in their episode.
I did too.
I think.
So I don't know how they. I think it was super close, but I was kind of bummed, because I actually thought last when we did the voting that they had by far the best interior that I'd seen of everything, and they definitely should have gone through. But it's so hard because we got so many. I know.
Oh no, they were
Which
my
one of you
favorite,
wants
man.
to? But it's so hard because everyone's is fairly worthy at this time, and there was a certain knock of the back sort of engine nutcracker side on the design, that's just a subjective thing, right? So like it's hard to get around that. But in terms of the modeling and the texturing and it being an engine, this is by far the best that I've seen. Super impressive. And in some ways, I don't know why it's different. Maybe it's come alive a bit more in the engine, or maybe they made a few alterations. But I didn't mind the outside sort of engine setup as much as I did previously.
Is that because they really explained all the functionality of how it works?
No, because they explained it before. I mean, the functionality still is going to have. John Pritchett, who's doing physics and the flight model stuff.
He's going to have some fun with that thing.
I mean, like literally, we put the ships.
True physics.
We put the ships in with the true physics, and if the thrusters are not balanced, the ship will not fly
set
properly.
the mass of the ship.
And so we actually spend a bunch of besides just getting in the engine, we spend days like balancing the thruster positions to make sure they'll turn right, and you have to have matching pairs. So even just looking at that, I know that will need some extra thrusters.
We should try to get that down to under a day to
fly. Well, it'd be good. Well, if you artists could actually engineering,
what do you mean you artists?
You guys. But no, it's I mean the interior's brilliant. I mean it feels like that, and it's quite amazing actually. There's a look. The interior feels pretty big and spacious. From the outside, you wouldn't actually guess that it has as much inside as it does. So and I loved. I mean the white paint scheme on the Aegis one.
That was beautiful.
That was the best one. I mean they all looked cool, but the white one really.
So I'm really, I think that's completely top notch, and that would be having that sitting in my hangar. I'd be super happy. So yeah, I'm really impressed. Really love it.
Last video is Talon. Let's roll it.
Space is violent. Nature, chaotic. Man is wise to protect himself. Now is the time to let the fears of your ancestors be forgotten. Enact the predator. Become violence. Harness chaos. Be the peacekeeper of your peoples, a harbinger of death to your enemies. Let them fear you from the shadows. They give me many names, but I answer only to one. I am the Aegis Shadow.
Hello Star citizens and judges and esteemed members of the next great Starship Council. I'm aware obviously this could potentially be one of the last videos that we'll be uploading, so I'd just like to take the time to say thanks for letting us get this far, and I hope you've enjoyed the work that I've done. It's been an honour for me to actually take part in video game history and to submit my own design work and to have it looked over by industry professionals such as yourselves, and of course the man himself, Chris Roberts. That's been awesome, and as I said in the past, that's like winning a competition in itself really, because obviously there's loads of people out there who would clutch at the chance to have people look over their work like you guys. So yeah, that's been awesome. And of course thanks to all the community as well for their support in the forums, because that's been really beneficial, and it's pushed me the extra mile as well. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the the animation that I've just put up. I hope that I can be progressed to the final stage and potentially to take the title of the next great Starship.
All right, let's start with Chris Smith.
All right. There's some good things about this ship. I think the presentation is what hurt it the most. You know, it was hard to tell, and the renders that he had, it was sort of shrouded in darkness. Some of the shapes, you know, it looked like he modified the back with some more stabilizers and stuff, which wasn't necessarily bad, but it was just kind of hard to tell between his material setup. It was real shiny and real dark, and then he had those like really bright fluorescent red stripes all over it. So it made everything kind of look weird, and it was hard to tell like shapes and everything. But it looks like it has good potential. I mean, I like the ship. You know, the front area looks cool. It's unique, you know. And the interior was cool. Some of the interior shots were cool. But a lot of times, yeah, it was just hard to tell what was going on, basically. And some of the renders were odd, you know, that he put together with the cutlass in front. It just looked a little, like, just odd. Like, I didn't know what I was looking at. And the decal placement wasn't very good.
Those were his models that wasn't rendered.
Yeah, those were
are the models.
that was like
He's
little
done
mini
he's done a
prints.
cutlass
Oh,
model.
that little. Oh, that's what that was. But yeah, he had it like in the foreground, like weird pixelated, and
Just
then
give you, like,
and
this
then
little
the
tilt
thing.
shifts to
He's
look
trying
like
to, he's trying to like do the foreground background thing, but it didn't really
It was
work.
like a perfect example of like style over substance, you know, just flashy stuff going on, a lot of busy, and like you were saying, it's just hard to tell the form and the look of the ship. So
Yeah, I think the presentation hurt it, but I mean, from what I could tell, yeah, it needs material work, texture work, and the decals. I didn't think they were that great. Like in the interior, that Aegis Dynamics decal on the seat was kind of weird and blurry looking. So,
because
I mean, it has
it's a decent
potential.
shape,
It just
yeah.
needs
It's just-
more.
They weren't showing it off very well.
Yeah.
Well, it is a one-man band, so
That's no
That
excuse.
is impressive for one guy. You know, it's a lot of work.
Yeah. that's-
Sean.
So, you know, to be fair to the other teams, I mean, they got all their stuff in engine, and I mean, there was only a little bit in engine there, and it looked like, again, he put this repetitious tiling pattern within, you know, when he was swimming underwater. That's the way he sort of showed it in engine.
Yeah, what was that?
And
Like,
I
the
mean, well,
ship's just
I have a
gonna
pretty
be-
good idea that the reason that happened was maybe he's having problems getting in an engine, you know, not having all the materials done and things like that. So really, to be fair against the other teams, they finished it off completely, you know, and they didn't put this repetitious tiled pattern that, you know, UVs are all stretched all over the place. So I mean, not to speak to the art of the ship, because we've already said, I mean, the ship is very cool. It's really interesting design and things like this, but the presentation and engine just wasn't there compared to the other teams. And to be fair, yeah, that's just wasn't up to the standard that the
Not
other
getting
teams were
Sean's
bringing.
vote.
Well, no, I got to be honest, because
Yeah, I get that vibe too.
if that
So it's your
if
favorite.
this part of
is
the
what you're saying.
competition is in engine, then
Yeah.
I mean, I got to judge him about
totally,
in engine,
100%.
right?
We're with you, bro. We're just saying.
Hey,
So they blew it, is what you're saying.
no, whoa.
CryEngine guys getting
But it's
crazy.
unfortunate because I know he's been trying really hard to get
Yeah,
him in
that's a
engine,
lot
and
for
it's
one guy.
actually just hit a learning,
Yeah.
you know, just a curve.
There was a
He's
really
one
cool,
dude,
the
too.
time, and it's
You know.
one
He
dude.
needs some help. Yeah.
there was a cool shot of
But,
it.
He
needs a
with,
hug.
with a lot of lasers coming off it. I kind of like that shot. But
The lasers?
But it's yeah, it was
Remember
all
that
done
shot?
in V-Ray, which is just not the engine.
no, I know.
And
It was like a pretty painting, but that a lot of it was just not pretty paintings and messy and just.
Mark
So I love it.
Skelton.
Yeah. Sean loves it, apparently. Yeah, the presentation just, I mean, there was too much busy stuff around it that took your eye off of the ship, you know, and that's what he needed to focus our attention on was the ship. But there was so much, like, peripheral things and
Well, I mean, it's like
flashy
if
stuff.
you're going to sort of build it up,
yeah.
then you've got to pay it off with like long, loving
sweet,
beauty
clean,
shots
Exactly.
and reveal it
slow
afterwards.
and
So
nice.
Yeah.
otherwise, it just sort of feels like
Right
you're
on.
kind of trying to distract from something.
Yeah.
Right on.
And it was very murky, and I couldn't really tell. I mean, I saw like some spiky stuff, but there was no like clear shots of the ship to show me exactly what I'm looking at. You know,
Right, there's no clear read on any of
yeah,
that.
it was very spotty and all over the. It was hard to read, and especially like seeing it in context back to back with the previous two teams that we've seen. It's like, I mean, it's
Right?
it's night and day. So, I guess I'm with Sean on this.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a little sad because I thought the ship. Personally, I actually thought it maybe took a bit of a step backwards. I don't know whether it did because the ship sort of felt bigger and more solid to me when we were looking at it the previous episode. And I don't know if that was the color, just because I sort of felt like the end started to get like spiky and very bitty, and maybe that was sort of the red with the black, and it sort of breaks it up even more. But yeah, I mean, I love the shape and the form of this ship, but I'm sort of talking from the previous time seeing it. So now in this, I sort of don't really get a good read of that, and then it really hasn't stepped up and gone into the engine and really, we said before, like the thing that's missing is the materials and the texturing, and the materials and the texturing are still missing. Like some of the design elements are really cool. Like I like some of the seats and the cockpit sections that you saw little bits of, but overall it's sort of missing that final sort of material texture stage. Going into the engine, the only engine stuff was swimming around a rusted version, which is kind of weird. But
Yeah, I mean,
which I would just
could have been cool, though.
I would assume it's just Paul is not a CryEngine expert, right?
And
So
fair
he
enough,
said
right?
that from the start. But at the end of the day, it's about getting into the engine. So I would say at this level, unfortunately, it's not. It's not.
The other
gonna-
teams
It's
go.
not going to cut it. I mean, I'd love to have someone that knows how to use the engine properly sit down with him and take that ship properly. into the
And that
engine.
would,
Because I think it would be a cool ship to see it in the engine.
I agree.
But yeah, I mean, if you're just judging, the three people we've seen on that, then it's unfortunately you haven't done the task you're meant to do.
I mean, he had this whole that drop pod like rover thing.
That was interesting.
It's like,
that was super cool.
It was cool, but I mean, it seems like he could have spent more of that time on the materials,
sort of modeling that.
maybe,
My
instead of
suspicion
just doing
is his
this whole
strength
shiny.
is design and modeling, and
I
not so
think so too.
much like texture and in-engine technical stuff.
Right.
Yeah, he probably hit it and got frustrated and like, okay.
Well, and also there's not a lot of time. I mean, like all
Yeah.
the people. I mean, we know that like pretty much most of the contestants were like down to the last minute, and some of those had teams of 3 people, and they were still stressing. So
Oh,
if
yeah.
you don't know the engine, you haven't got a lot of time to get in, then it's pretty hard
He's probably
task.
pulling his
And
hair.
he,
Well-
and he does have a day job. So,
Yeah, fair enough.
But he's probably
It's a
working on
lot of
this
work.
at his day job, right? I would say. Get him fired.
All right, guys, so that was the 3 teams, Shimapan, Four Horsemen, and Talon. We are going to do a live vote.
Dum dum
All
dum.
right, ready? Which side shall I start from?
You can start.
And the gold side.
All right.
Goldfinger over there.
Skeleton.
Shiny gold.
This is hard.
Who
This
is
is
your
hard
vote?
because here's what my thinking is
Oh,
that
Lord.
the Four Horsemen. I mean, those guys obviously. So PBS. So here's how it works. There's a Newton. No.
There's a Newton.
There's a
Newton law of whatever.
Just
There's this Newton guy.
Mark, vote.
All right,
Okay,
come on,
what?
give us your vote.
I'm trying.
Explain. Yeah,
I'm
okay.
so like
Nobody wants
torn
you to
right now
over-explain.
because I like the design of the Shimapan ship. I like the ugly duckling broken head,
I'm shocked.
but obviously the Four Horsemen ship is just. I mean, dude, top to bottom is like amazing. So it's
pick with your heart, man.
So
Pick with your
right
heart.
in the
He
middle.
has no heart.
Pick with your cockles.
Don't
I'm
pick
gonna say the Shimapan.
Oh!
Oh, fire.
I know it's weird, but I love that like broken neck design. It just feels very like Russian gunship to me. And,
Okay.
The internet just gasped.
I know.
They would just went. It happened. I
Sean
heard it.
Tracy.
I
so,
heard it.
it's like by that. It's not. I don't know. It's so close, dude. I vote
good.
both of them.
It's good.
That's all
Sean
I'm gonna
Tracy,
do.
who's your vote?
Yeah, not to over-explain it or to go too long. It's
Too late.
Four
What does that
Horsemen by
mean?
far. What do you mean?
Looking at me.
Four Horsemen, absolutely. Those are the guys that got to go forward.
Yeah.
It is very close to the Shimapan ship, but again, the in-engine stuff, and they had already showed this in the last episode as well. So yeah, they're much further along. But
it's hard,
it's
man.
great,
It's
though.
just like right there.
So Four Horsemen all the way.
Okay. Chris Olivia.
Whoa,
Skipping Smith.
Keeping people guessing.
What did you
Saves
vote
best to
for?
last.
Oh, come on.
Okay,
Shimapan.
I'm voting for Shima Horseman. No. Four Horsemen. That's it.
Okay.
They are the
Well
best.
done.
Yes.
Am I going to be the lone
Probably.
Shimapan? I'm going to change my vote.
Nope.
No,
You
you're
guys
not.
make me feel
Can't.
bad.
You're off the show
Chris
now.
Smith.
So yeah, it's very close. I do like Shimapan's ship as well. Like Mark said, it has really cool stuff. But the Four Horsemen, they just have the most complete package at this point.
I am going to get flamed so hard.
Yeah.
Oh my God, the
So your
Fords are
vote
gonna be
doesn't
like,
count, Chris.
It does not count. It does not count, but if I was voting, I would vote for the Four Horsemen because they are definitely the most complete package, the inside and the outside. It looks beautiful already in the engine. They're, of all the 3 ships we saw today, they're by far the furthest along.
Best texture.
Yeah, the texturing is fantastic. I still have my issues with the outside lobster claw
clamps.
things.
I mean, once it was
You don't
textured
like
and with the
those?
glow, I
Yeah.
actually
It was-
liked
it
it
was-
more.
I
it
don't
was
think they're as
better.
obvious now.
No,
as they
it's
were
it's
before.
just they. But
They've grown on me.
But the Shimapan ship has a whole bunch of issues too because it's kind of ugly as far as. But it's a nice engine implementation. But
Yeah.
I just think that if I was going between them, I'd put Four Horsemen ahead of Shimapan, which by the way I actually did when they were up against each other last time. So not close. I thought they were very close, but same thing. So Four Horsemen. I'm glad they got saved by the community, and I think they absolutely deserve to go to the final.
Congratulations, Four Horsemen. Get your passports ready. We'll see you here live Saturday, June 7th at the YouTube space.
We're going to meet them in person?
Yes.
It's going to be
I hope they
awesome.
don't punch me. For
They're
not
coming all the
voting.
way from Europe.
They may not want to talk to you.
Yeah,
They want to sit
I'm
at your
gonna be
table,
shunned.
Mark.
So Shimapan and Talon, unfortunately, your race ends here, but next week the community will be voting for 3rd place, so you now go into the 3rd place pool. All right, guys, next week we're going to find out which team joins Four Horsemen in the finals. See you next Friday.
See you next Friday.